Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I am doing my everyday contour routine for very fair skin. I find that finding the right contour shade for very light women, and I'm sure very dark women as well, is really hard. Certainly women of paler skin tones do have more options than women of deeper skin tones, but it's still hard to find the right tone. I have tried countless contour products that I've had to return or donate or give to a friend just because it's way too orange on me. And the whole point of contouring is to create shadows, and shadows typically aren't warm toned and orangey looking. So it's hard to find a cool tone product that also doesn't look ashy. So today I'm going to help out all my fair ladies out there who have a hard time picking out contour products. So the product that I'm going to use today are the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kits. So I will stop rambling on and we can get into the demo. Okay, so I start with a blank canvas of foundation and concealer. By the way, that's just my shadow. In the back, it's a super rainy day, so I had to use my lighting, so that's kind of weird. I'll try not to move my hand. So I start with a blank canvas of foundation and concealer. I used the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation and the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and I have not set them. I feel really strange because usually I set my foundation and concealer immediately, but apparently not today because I'm filming this tutorial. So the reason that I don't like to set everything is because I like to go in with creams. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit. This is in light to medium. I know they have two of them. This one is in light, and I'll be completely honest, I can't really tell much difference between these three shades. I'll do a little swatchy swatch of all three of them for you. So I kind of just go in with the middle one because I don't know why, but they all look very similar to me. Is that just me? I don't find that you can even really tell a difference once they're blended out, so I just pick one and go for it. So today I'm gonna go in with the middle one. I don't know why, I just gravitate towards that one. I usually go in with a small flat foundation brush such as this. As you can see, it's really skinny. This is by Stilazzi, and this is the Face Primer S502 brush. I used to just use your average flat foundation brush, but I've been really into this one ever since I got it, which was like 2 days ago. And I just load some of the product up and I just kind of paint it on my face like war paint. So I add it right to the sides of the temples because I kind of have a big forehead and I don't really like that. If you have a small forehead, you don't have to do this step. Based on your face shape, you can skip the forehead and, you know, just do your cheekbones. And then I take this little beauty blender. This is the one for blush, but obviously I use it for contour. I don't really wear cream blush, so I don't really use it for any other purpose except for cream contour. You could just blend it out with a brush, but I don't know. I find a sponge gives me better results just because it's not streaky. And you always want to make sure you take it into the hairline because if you don't, it'll just look super unnatural. And honestly, sometimes I'll just take a little into my hairline just to make sure that it's super blended into there. So what I like to do, honestly, these aren't the most blendable creams. I like to work in small sections. I like to do my forehead first, and then I do my cheekbones, and then I do my jawline. Just because I find the longer it sits on my face, the harder it is for me to blend because they are kind of stiffer creams, which I don't mind because I feel like that means they're gonna stay put better. So then I just take it right under my cheekbone. I've just kind of learned where the hollows of my cheeks are. I don't have to make any faces to get there, but you know, you can always do your fish face. And go right under here. Or I find that if you smile, you kind of want to go right under where your apples are. And I also, after the line's drawn, I kind of like to flick it upwards a little bit. And then again, with my beauty blender, just blending it out, and you always want to blend upwards. You never want to blend downwards because that's going to bring down your cheekbone, and the whole point of contouring is to make it look like you have high cheekbones. And I don't get too concerned if a lot of it blends away. I don't really care, to be honest, because I like to go over it with powder anyways. I always go over things with powder just because I'm so oily. Also, I find if you have dry skin, put a little beauty oil in this and it'll help it blend a lot easier. And then I like to go in with this Contour S503 brush by Stilazzi. I sometimes just like to use a normal, again, flat foundation brush, but you want to make sure that this one is clean And I just kind of go over it just to make sure that it's really buffed out. Because as I said before, these creams are a little bit hard to blend. So sometimes you just need a brush to put a little more force in there, if you know what I'm saying. Then I just like to follow my jaw. I'm really careful with my jaw area because it can kind of look like you have some 5 o'clock shadow if you add too much. So I go in really lightly with this. You don't have to do this step, but I don't have a very defined jaw. So again, it's all based on your face shape and what you really want to accentuate. Then what I like to do is clean up and highlight a little bit. So I go in with the lightest shade because I am so pale. But any of these shades would work if you have light skin tones, and I know they have a medium to dark one for darker skin tones. I actually have that one for my kit, hold on. So this is the one for medium to dark skin tones. I kind of wish that we had this kind of variety in the contour shades in the light palette, but I feel like they all look the same, but in this one they don't. So this is a really nice option. This one is called medium. If those aren't deep enough for you, I know that Fenty Beauty has some matchsticks that are also creams, and they are kind of the same consistency. They're a little bit more stiff and difficult to blend. They come in so many shades and they go really, really deep. So if there's not one for you in the Anastasia line, which I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't, there's always Fenty Beauty. Fenty Beauty saves the day with shades. So as I said before, I go in with this lightest one, and I'm just going in with the Stilazzi contour brush that I kind of blended everything out with. And I kind of just like to clean things up because I do get a little messy sometimes, especially on this side. I find this side contours so much nicer than this one. So I just like to clean it up, and then I also add a little bit just here. Not under my eyes because I don't want to be creasy, but just kind of bring it down onto my cheeks. And I also like to sharpen the nose contour a little bit and then take it down the nose. So I just am blending this out. And then if you see, I got a little carried away around this area, I feel, so I'm just going to clean it up with that again. This is just kind of like an eraser for any mistakes you may have made. Now after that's done, I just like to go in and set it with powder. I'm just using the Laura Mercier translucent powder. I just like to use this powder on a Too Faced teddy bear powder brush. And I kind of press it into the skin instead of rubbing it because I'm scared that I'm gonna smear everything around if I do that. Okay, and now that the cream contour is done, I like to go in with the Anastasia powder contour kit. I've totally used this shade, so there's just a bunch of crumbles there. I like to use the middle shade because I find that's the most flattering on my skin tone. They do sell these individually as well, so you don't have to buy the whole kit. I'd probably recommend doing that just because I don't really use these two too much. I'd rather use a normal bronzer. But this is in the shade Fawn, so if you want to buy it individually, that's the shade that I use out of the kit. So I load it up on a Morphe E4 brush, and I just go over the cream just a little bit with a very light hand. And then this side is pretty intense, so I don't know. I just kind of, again, very lightly. I've only been looking at myself in the viewfinder, so it's kind of hard to make sure they're both even. I don't usually go over my jawline with powder just because, as I said before, it's easy to look like you have a beard. Then to contour my nose, I really like to use powders, as I've mentioned before. I just find that it's a lot easier to control and blend out when I use powders as opposed to creams for my nose. So I'm gonna go back in with that Fawn shade from the Anastasia contour kit. And I'm using a Stilazzi Angle Shadow S209 brush. I usually just use like a little eyeshadow brush that's skinny but still kind of fluffy, if that makes sense. So it's kind of, you know, fluffy, but then you turn it on its side and it's pretty thin. So I just like to start right here and bring it down, and then like to lightly take it up into my brow. Then I've dusted the color off, and with the same banana powder, you can use any light toned powder, even if it's like a face powder that's just too light for you, you can use that as well. I've done that before and it's worked fine. On the same brush, I just like to run down the sides of it, I just like to run down the sides of the lines that we just created just to blend things out. I don't know what people are doing outside. It's pouring rain. What are you doing out there? I think people are moving, so I'm sorry if that's distracting. And I'm just gonna do the same thing here just to blend things out a little bit. And then just to make sure that it's really not harsh, I like to just dab my beauty blender along the two lines. And then finally, for my favorite part, highlight. I've been really into this Smolder Cosmetics Illuminator in the shade Golden Glow. It is so pretty. Here's a little swatchy swatch. It's really, really intense and I just love it. I've been loving it recently. And my favorite highlighting brush is the Real Techniques setting brush, and I just dip into that. I also really like the Kylie Cosmetics highlighter in French Vanilla, the Becca Cosmetics Vanilla Quartz highlighter, the Morphe highlighters that just launched are really good. They're more subtle though. And then I take that little eyeshadow brush that we contoured with, and I just take a little bit of the highlighter and I just apply it down the bridge of my nose. If you have any bumps on your nose that you want to kind of not conceal, but you don't want to bring attention to, don't highlight it. You can, if you have a bump right here, you can highlight above and below, for example. And then I just do a little bit on the very tip. And then with the same brush, I just like to apply it to my Cupid's bow and write down these two center lines. I don't know what these are called. And I think we are done. And that is it for my contour routine. I do this not every day. Sometimes I'll just do the powder if I'm in a rush, but when I want a super chiseled look and I'm going full glam, this is what I do. So yeah, I really hope that this video was helpful. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time. Bye.